Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to our third Live, Learn, Belong live stream series presented by UCF Housing. My name is Hayden Lau. I am the marketing coordinator here for the department. We have some special guests with us today to talk a little bit about involvement, leadership, and employment within housing. So if you guys could introduce yourselves.
Hi there, my name is Kayla Kowalski, and I am an Assistant Director for Residence Life and Education here in the Department of Housing and Residence Life. And I work and oversee our Academic Village area of campus, and I also oversee our professional and student staff recruitment and selection processes, as well as all of our student leadership initiatives. And I'm joined today by some of my awesome student leaders, so I'll allow them to introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nikki. I am a graduating senior. Actually, this is my last semester. I majored in political science and international global studies, and I was on the RHA executive board as vice president for 3 years. I was also an office assistant, and I'm originally from Miami, Florida.
Hi everyone, I'm Jasmine Fletcher. I just finished up my second year here at UCF. I'm studying secondary education with a track in English language arts. I'm currently a resident assistant in the Hercules community. However, I have had the pleasure to live in Lake Claire as well as Nike, and I'm also a part of our National Residence Hall Honorary. And I'm from Jacksonville, Florida.
Hello everybody, my name is Darren Sima. I'm also in my graduate semester in psychology. I'm from Broward County, Florida. Woohoo! A little bit about me. I currently work as a resident assistant in the Neptune community. I've been a resident assistant for almost 4 years. I love it so much. And I've also lived in the Lake Claire community and the Neptune community as well.
All right, so we have an awesome panel here to help out in answering any questions along the topics of leadership and employment. So while we are getting a welcome video from our executive director, Dr. Kambalinka, loaded up, if you just want to drop in the comments where you are viewing from today, just let us know where you're from, and we will have a quick message here from our executive director.
Hello, and welcome to the Live, Learn, Belong web series. I'm Dr. April Kambalinka, Executive Director of Housing and Residence Life. We know this time of year many students are making final college decisions, and that these challenging times have interrupted many of your plans, including visits to your top colleges and universities. We are excited to provide you the opportunity to interact with our staff and learn more about the UCF housing experience. During this time, we will provide information about living on campus, and you'll have an opportunity to ask questions and learn more. We know that a huge part of the college experience happens outside of the classroom. Our mission is to provide you with safe, inclusive housing communities that foster your success through innovative living and learning opportunities. We are excited for you to become part of the Knight family, where you will live, learn, and find the place where you belong. Go Knights!
All right, so we are going to go ahead and get Kayla's presentation going here, and I will hand it over to you, Kayla. Let me just pull up the PowerPoint.
Awesome, while she gets that loaded, I'll just kind of give an introduction. So as you know, by tuning in, I'm going to start by talking about some of our leadership opportunities for students here, and then I'll go into the employment opportunities kind of in the second half of the presentation. And so I kind of want to start by talking about one of our organizations. So I advise 2 student organizations here in the Department of Housing and Residence Life. I'm going to talk a little about both of them. So the first one I want to talk about is the Residence Hall Association. We refer to it as RHA. And so if you've been following along on these series, you'll know that we love our acronyms here in housing. And so RHA stands for the Residence Hall Association. And kind of big picture, the best way to explain that is if you think about high school and the various class councils, so junior class council, senior class council, freshman, sophomore class council. And now those have boards that kind of work to advocate for the needs of those specific classes. And then those class councils report up to the larger student government. And that's kind of essentially how we operate, that similar structure. So RHA, the Residence Hall Association, it's kind of similar to the student government of student leader or students who live on campus. And so every one of our approximately 12,000 on-campus residents are automatically members of the Residence Hall Association. And each of our residential communities has their own area council. And that area council is elected of members, which I'll kind of explain those positions in just a minute. And those members represent the needs of their community. So the area councils kind of report up to RHA. Both groups are comprised of students. And so overall, RHA, as you see here, is the on-campus leadership, programming, and advocacy organization. So what that means is RHA's main job is to really focus on helping student leaders grow and develop as leaders, as well as personally and professionally here at the university, as well as social programming. So large-scale programs from movie nights and pool events to smaller scale programs like cookie decorating and get-to-know-you events. And then advocacy to make sure that we're advocating for the needs of our residential students. We know that US students are coming in here with a lot of things that you're passionate about and you're excited about. And so this organization is a chance for our residential students to kind of shape their experience here in the residence halls. And so RHA includes both an executive board and 10 area councils. And then each area council, as I mentioned, is comprised of individual students. And if you're already thinking about how you can get involved, applications open early August through the second week of classes. So if you go back one slide, you'll see the specific positions. So, yep, there we go. So RHA positions are on the left and the area councils are on the right. So looking at area councils, those are elected positions of students who live in the residence halls. And so you may show up here on your first day and you are a first time in college student, and you can apply to be president of Lake Claire, or you can apply to be president of Nike or Rosen or Union West or wherever you live. So it's a really exciting opportunity and really one of the first leadership opportunities that our students can get here on campus. You can start getting those resumes padded with leadership experience from day one. And so as you can see, there's a president. That president really oversees the community initiatives in the council, ensures they stay on track, and that things are kind of running smoothly. The vice president is there to assist the president and kind of help be a liaison between RHA and area council. The marketing chair is for anyone who has an eye for design, wants to market the programs and events throughout the community through flyers, maybe videos, different interactive ways to spread the message about. And then business administration chair, which is kind of like a combo of a treasurer and a secretary, ensuring that the group stays on track and also helping to keep track of the budget that each community gets. Then an advocacy chair, which is a newer position we created. Again, we noticed that our student need is changing. Students are excited and passionate about different projects and initiatives, or maybe some events or initiatives that are nationwide. And so we want to know what you're excited about. And so an advocacy chair is the ability to just take on an initiative. You know, recently a project we did was to our RHA executive board on their Instagram posted about Denim Day. And so that's something that if you're not familiar about, I encourage you to take a look about it. But we all just wore denim that day and posted about it. And so when we're on campus, we can kind of facilitate some other advocacy initiatives. And then community representatives, those are really the lifeblood of our area council. Anyone can be a community representative. We can have 10 or 50 or 5. And community representatives are the voice of the students. And so that is a great opportunity for someone who's maybe just starting or isn't quite sure. Maybe you're a sophomore or a junior living on campus and don't quite know your time commitment yet, but you want to be involved. You can join as a community representative. You can come to meetings as you're able to. You can propose ideas. You can vote on ideas. You can help prepare and put on programs and events. And if there's something that's particularly exciting to you, like maybe you're a big fan of giant inflatables, or maybe you're excited about the Super Bowl and want to put on a program, you can take lead and initiative on that. So we highly encourage anyone who's even a little bit interested in getting involved with student leadership or kind of taking a role in their community to jump on in to be a community representative. And as I mentioned a little bit ago, the applications open up in early August and they stay open only through the second week of classes. So this is something that we really try to kick off the ground from the very beginning so that we have the most time to really start creating an awesome community in each of our residential communities. And so if you're interested in it, definitely take a look at their website, which we'll talk about in just a few moments, and know that as you see the arrows pointing you back to the RHA positions, in every one of these positions, you have another student who has been there before who can really help you throughout your journey. So you're never there alone. You also have an advisor who is a master's level professional staff member and a graduate level staff member who are there to assist you as well. So at the next slide, I'll show you a couple of the things we've done in the past few years just to help explain it, because you're like, okay, Kayla, that sounds kind of neat, but what exactly do you do? What does it mean to do advocacy and programming and leadership? So these pictures are just a few examples of the dozens of things we've done over the past few years. So the top left, you'll see the one that says 10,000. That was in a service project that RHA and our National Residence Hall Honorary, which we'll talk about in just a few moments, collaborated together with the campus community to pre-package meals that we then donated to our food pantry on campus, Knight's Pantry. And so that was a service project we did that directly benefited our students. 10,000 individual meals we pre-packaged. That was a really cool initiative. And in this picture, I know it's hard to see, but if you look in the back there, you'll see our executive director, Dr. Kambalinka, is in that picture, as well as at the time, our interim president, Dr. Thad Seymour, and his wife, Katie Seymour, who came out to our event. They put hairnets on and gloves and also contributed to the service project. So we definitely like to get the whole UCF community involved. To the right, you'll notice that we're at Disney, right? We're at Epcot. And so that was at the end of one of our years. We took 2 area councils, the area councils who won the overall Most Spirited Award and the area council that won the overall Area Council of the Year Award. And as a thank you for their efforts throughout the entire year and a chance to help them continue to grow as student leaders, we took them to Disney, not just for a day at Disney, but also for a full day leadership experience. And so Disney experts kind of taught our students leadership tips and strategies and kind of took us behind the scenes. We got to go backstage, which I thought was really neat, and just really talk about what it means to be part of a team. We did different team builders and activities. That was something that, wouldn't have the opportunity to do if we weren't part of this organization. On the side where the flag is, you'll see a picture of us at a student conference. And so I've taken students to Arizona, to Louisiana, to Kentucky, all over the country for different conferences where we represent UCF, both on a state and a regional and a national level. And these conferences are a chance for us to kind of showcase what's going on here at UCF and what does it mean to be a UCF Knight. And we connect with others around the country to gain knowledge and resources. And what are you doing at Arizona State University? And how can we help our residents in that same way? What does it mean to advocate for students at different places? And we have fun, right? We get spirited. As you can see, we're all kind of decked out in our UCF spirit and our pride. And so that's a really fun opportunity for us to showcase what it means to be a UCF Knight all across the country. And the students we select to take those conferences, it's all expenses paid for them. And so it's really a cool opportunity for you, if you're chosen, to go and meet other student leaders. On the bottom middle, where we're in my favorite color, those mint green t-shirts, those are our RHA shirts from this year. This is when we collaborated with athletics this past year to kind of help create a stronger connection between our residential students and our athletes. And we're really excited about all the athletics here. And so we wanted to get students out to basketball games. So we did a friendly competition between the communities to see who could have the most attendance at the basketball game. And here's a picture of us towards the end on the court. And then the last picture I'll talk about on the bottom left, underneath the 10,000 picture, that is our Housing Leadership Institute. So the Housing Leadership Institute is a week-long institute that we do for incoming students to focus on leadership development and social programming and social connections to the community. And we actually won a regional award and were recognized as the Program of the Year back in 2018 for this conference out of the whole Southeast region. So it's something that we're really proud of here at UCF. And those are just a few of the many things we've done through RHA. And now I'm going to transition to talking about another student organization. We call them sister organizations. So the National Residence Hall Honorary, or NRHH, again, with the acronyms. So the National Residence Hall Honorary, the easiest way to explain this organization is one of the National Honor Society or maybe National Junior Honor Society you may be familiar with from middle school or high school. So we're kind of the collegiate residential version of that. And so you do not need to pay any affiliation fee to be a part of this organization. We accept applications each semester, and we accept the top 1% of student leaders on campus. And so with 12,000 students, that's about 120 students that can have membership in this organization, and anyone can apply. We do have inductions at the end of each semester, and you have to live on campus in the semester you want to be inducted in and kind of accumulate a certain number of points by going to some of our organizational meetings or doing service projects. And some of our programs and initiatives that you can see on here are our Nighthon team. So we participate in the university's Nighthon team. Feeding Nights Everywhere is that event I mentioned where we came together to package the 10,000 meals. And then our recognition events, we've done things that are big and things that are small. So we've done custodial appreciation event where we got together and just threw a party for our custodial and housekeeping teams on campus because they work hard. They work really hard. They're in the communities, they're cleaning the rooms, and they're awesome people. And we just want to say thank you. So we did that. Another fun thing we did once was we bought a bunch of extra gum, like the gum that's called extra, and we wrote little notes that said, thanks for going the extra mile, and stapled it onto the gum, and we handed it out to our shuttle bus drivers on campus. Again, a group that maybe doesn't get recognized that often, but really contributes to the overall UCF community. And then we've done other things like we deliver some food sometimes to some of our student employees and students around campus. We write thank you posters for people that are doing various roles and jobs. A couple years, we just bought a bunch of chocolate roses and stood out in the courtyard and around campus and just handed out to people and put positive reaffirming notes just to remind people that regardless of where they're at on Valentine's Day, that they're cared about and people care about them here. We've handed out donuts to professional staff just to say thank you. And I'll talk about a few more. You'll see our NRHH_UCF to follow us for more information. But the next slide kind of explains a little bit more about what makes us the National Residence Hall Honorary. So these 4 values are what we really focus on. So we look for students who want to be student leaders. We look for students who are already student scholars. So you have to have that 2.5 to be eligible to be a part of our organization. And then the values we truly focus on are recognition and service to our community. So the reason I love this organization is it's an organization of students who are just sitting around thinking about how do we make people's day, right? What group isn't being recognized that we could recognize? Is it the shuttle bus drivers? Is it the custodians? Is it first-year students? And how do we serve the community, right? Can we address like large-scale issues like homelessness? Can we work to make the community a better place? And by community, we focus on UCF, and we also focus on the greater Orlando community, and we also focus on the global community because we recognize that our place in a global society has multiple communities. And so this organization is comprised of students, again, like I mentioned, very grassroots efforts. So we're excited to have people come and bring any idea. So if you have an idea for a service project or a recognition event, you can come to our meeting, propose it, and maybe we'll do that next week. So that's a pretty fun opportunity for anyone to get involved, and you don't have to be a member to come to meetings and to get your idea put out there. And so we will continue to have meetings, some throughout the summer and definitely in the fall. So keep a lookout for that. And the next slide, we'll just showcase a few of the things that I kind of mentioned already. So the top, you'll see us just handing out donuts to some of our professional staff. Again, a really small effort, right? Handing out a donut. But to someone who's having a long day or maybe doesn't get a thank you, those little things really mean the world. To the right is what I had kind of talked about, where we got to wear these really awesome red hairnets and gloves and package these meals. That's going to go back to help our students. Underneath that is a picture from one of our meetings with some of our members, and in the front row is our executive board. And they're just having fun doing some service projects. Sometimes we just write notes. We do these things called of the month awards, where we write recognition notes to be emailed to people to just kind of say, hey, thanks for what you did this month. I really appreciate you. And then on the bottom left, you'll see the thank you sign we made for the custodial staff. We called it was like a star themed, and we got a cake, and they brought like potluck style food, and we just wrote notes to really thank them. So those are some of the things that NRHH does. And so those are the 2 student organizations that I advise here at UCF, and a lot of really cool things we've done, a lot of really cool things we have in store for the future. And if you're looking to get involved, these are great ways to kind of get your feet wet into leadership. We're really looking for first-year students all the way to senior students who have ideas and want to get involved. And if you're not sure, you're like, I'm a little bit nervous, I don't know anyone, but I want to make a community here, I want to make a connection here, this is a great place for you to start. And so definitely drop your questions in the comments. And at the end, after I talk about the employment section, we'll make sure to go back and review all those questions. We really want to make sure our students feel connected to the university, and both student leadership opportunities and employment opportunities are a great way to do that. So now I'll kind of switch gears and talk about what it means to work for housing. So we have a ton of jobs, but I'll start with one you may have some questions about. And so a resident assistant. I don't know if you know this yet, but we employ 199 resident assistants here. That is a big number. Not quite 200, but 199. And the RA position is a live-in staff member who's responsible for creating and facilitating that positive community amongst our residents. RAs are really there to be that connection for a student. No matter if they're an out-of-state student, they're their first time in college student, they're a first-generation student, or it's their second year living on campus, or their third year, or they're transferring in. Regardless, it's nice for everyone to know that someone's there for them. These students receive extensive training to make sure that they know the campus resources. And whatever they don't know, they know how to connect people to get to those resources. And so our RAs are our eyes and ears in the residence halls to make sure that our students both are safe and secure, but also just know that there's someone there who's looking out for them. Someone's there who can remind them, hey, class registration's coming up. Hey, drop ads coming up. Hey, let me tell you where to go to get to this class. And so there's a lot of things that the RAs do, both tangible and not tangible, to serve as a department and university representative. And just kind of to highlight it, applications are typically open July through October. I always get a ton of questions about when RA applications are. You know, students come here and meet their RA and they get really excited. And so know that applications are usually open July through October, and that's for the following spring semester. So if you were to apply between July and October of this year, you'd be considered for positions beginning in spring 2021, as well as summer and fall of 2021. And so that way, you know, we kind of do it a little bit in advance because it takes some time to interview a couple hundred people and make the selections, make sure we have the best staff. The next slide will kind of give you a little bit of an overview of what an RA does. RAs do a lot of things, so many amazing things that we can't account for all on one slide, but just to kind of give you a little bit of it, the main thing they do is create and maintain that community environment. That's the most important, that they're facilitating an environment that students feel like they can be home, right? We want this to be their home away from home. We want them to feel safe and like they belong when they're here. And so the RAs are there to be a resource, to support their area council, to do things like mediation. So, you know, you may not necessarily get along with everybody, but there's ways that you can live with people. And how do RAs help you in figuring out things like who's going to take out the trash and how do you communicate across differences? Because if you've never lived with someone before, having that additional person there to help you kind of create some ground rules is really helpful, because every conflict can kind of be worked through in having a great support system there. They also serve as mentor and take on different initiatives or committees, and so serving and helping create different things for the department. Administrative tasks are obviously necessary, right? The 199 RAs and 12,000 residents, we need to make sure we keep track of the things we're doing. And so they do things like incident reports to document incidents that are going on in the community. They do health and safety checks to make sure that our rooms are safe to be living in, that everyone's following the correct policies and procedures outlined about the rules of conduct and the community living guide. They do inventories, they check for facilities needs. So if there's a facilities issue, they help put the work orders in. Occupancy checks to make sure people are here. And then different other things as you'll see on here. Go to staff meetings, fill out timesheets, check their email and things like that. A part of the RA role that you're probably the most familiar with is that they serve on a duty rotation. And so our RA duty rotation during the weekdays, which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they start from 4:45 p.m. to midnight at the front desk. And then midnight to 8 a.m. they serve on call, which means they hold the phone and they're in their room, in their community, able to respond to things. And then 8 a.m. our front desk professional staff comes. So 8 to 5 we have professional staff at the desk, and then 5 to 8 we have student staff there in the community, and then a triage system of various levels of professional staff, all able to respond to things as they happen. And on the weekends, the RAs will start the same thing, 4:45 to midnight at the desk, and then from midnight to 4:45 the next day. So let's say midnight Saturday morning, like 12:01 Saturday, to 4:45 Saturday, they'll be in the community in their room on call, holding that phone, able to respond. And so that is a piece that the residents pretty much usually know. Like, I know my RA's on duty, I see them in the office. That's a great position, a place for them to be, to see residents and interact with them. Sometimes they're able to like have one-on-ones and things like that. And then the last piece, and something that's really important, and you'll probably heard about it on last week's live stream. If you weren't able to check it out, it is on the UCF Housing Facebook page, so I encourage you to check it out. hear more about the living learning communities, a little bit about residential curriculum. But our residential curriculum is essentially the plan that our staff follow to help our residents have a consistent learning and growing experience while they're here with us. Because there's a lot that goes on in a collegiate setting, and a lot of learning and growing and developing that naturally happens, and a lot of learning and growing and developing that we can help promote. And so the residential curriculum exists to ensure that our 199 RAs are all kind of following a similar plan and knowing when to reach out to the residents and how to reach out to residents and what are the big things going on, right? So I mentioned, there's different times where things are important. There's things where you need to re-register for classes, or maybe there's holds on an account, and the RAs then use the curriculum to know the different topics and things to talk to the students about to help them grow and develop in different ways. So the RAs are responsible for conversations. They all have one-on-one conversations with their residents. They also have community meetings, not just to talk about the policies and procedures, but also to get the residents to know each other, right? We want to create that community experience with people in the building or on the floor in the community. And then just general relationship building. And so the one-on-ones are really helpful because if an RA talks to one resident and learns that, their favorite show is American Idol, and then goes down the hall to do another one-on-one, and that resident also can't stop talking about American Idol, well, there we go, a connection. Maybe those residents want to get together and watch American Idol. And so the RA kind of serves as a liaison to kind of help make those connections and relationships. So if you're like, okay, those are some really cool things, but why should I apply? First of all, this slide is directly from the information session I give to all of our RA candidates every year. And the first thing I say is, do you want to make a difference in the lives of others? And if you're like, nah, that's not for me, then this job probably isn't for you, because that's the cornerstone of this job, making a difference, sometimes in small ways that you may not hear a thank you for, but other times in big ways where you may hear a thank you for. But you're going to be impacting the lives of others. Personal professional development. I mean, when you have a leadership position, you're going to be learning and growing. You're going to learn about a lot of processes and procedures. You're going to learn how to mediate conflict. You're going to learn about equity and inclusion and what it means to be a part of an inclusive and safe community, and how to promote and develop an inclusive and safe community of your own. And then you're going to learn other tangible skills, right? The things that you can put on your resume. You're going to learn how to make a resume. You're going to learn how to email a professional staff member appropriately. You're going to learn how to work with potentially a budget, how to work with a program, and all sorts of different things. And those are applicable to any career field. I mean, any career field you go into, you'll have a skill from being an RA, whether it be working on a team, crisis management, critical thinking, time management, stress management. All of these skills that you learn and develop as RAs, you can take to any experience or any team or any career field. And lifelong connections to your team and residents. Each year I do this. I realize I'm another year older when I explain this story, but I still talk to my residents and my team from when I was an RA, and I won't mention how many years ago that was, but I still talk to them. I still have those connections. And some of my residents still get excited from years ago to share their successes to me, whether they're having a baby or they're graduating med school or they've just become a lawyer or they passed the bar. And so being able to make these lifelong connections to your team and to your residents, nobody knows what it's like to be an RA except an RA, and I say that all the time when I'm giving this information session. You really do bond through these experiences. And then a stronger connection to the UCF community. You're making an impact here as an RA, working for the department in any capacity. You're making an impact here on the community, the UCF community. You're really leaving your legacy. And then you get to serve as a mentor, right? Just because you're in a leadership position doesn't automatically make you a mentor, but based on your relationship and your team building, you may develop a mentoring relationship with some of your residents or some of your peers. And in addition, you may find a mentor, right? So something that's important is to acknowledge the concept of peer mentorship, right? So one of your residents maybe is a senior in your major and you're a sophomore, and they're more kind of a mentor to you, and you get to help them get connected to the university at UCF, and they can kind of help talk to you about things. Or your supervisor may become a mentor, or one of your peers on your staff. And then maybe you'll be a mentor to somebody. And then teamwork skills. You will certainly learn teamwork skills, because whether you're on a team of 8 all the way to 34, you need to pick duty nights together. You may need to switch an on-call night. You may need to talk through how to best support students or residents through a situation. But you'll really learn how to work with others, and that's something that's critical in any field you're going to go on to. And then the last bullet, but the most important bullet, is fun, right? If you want to have fun, you want to enjoy what you're doing while you're here, you want a job where you live, where you're learning, and you get to think of ways to kind of make that fun for you and recognize the accomplishments and the celebrations and the milestones of your residents and of your team, then those things are interesting to you, then I encourage you to apply to be an RA. In addition to being an RA, we have other really awesome employment opportunities. And so I'm just going to read a few of them to you. And all of the applications, the RA application and all of these other applications are available. You'll see the website here. It's ucf.ereslife.com. It's important to note the Z. That's not a typo. That's intentional. So it's ereslife.com. And all these applications are up there when they're open and available. So if you don't see any when you log on, it's because none are open at the moment. When they are open and available for people to apply to them, they'll appear on the homepage. So an office assistant. Our front desks have student office assistants between the hours of 8 and 5. They serve in a customer service role at our community front desks. They answer phones, they help with lockouts, and they assist with some general customer service needs. Those applications are open all year. Conference assistants, they assist with conference groups and housing during the summer term. And so if you ever went to a camp or conference, you know, the cheerleading groups come in here, or teachers come to do a training seminar for the summer. We had the world jump rope group in here for a couple of years. They come here, and we turn some of our residence halls into kind of pseudo hotels to really help create an experience there. And those students live in the community as conference assistants to support those conference and camps throughout the summer. And those applications typically open in December or January. Our mail office assistants are responsible for receiving, processing, and distributing on-campus mail. As you can imagine, 12,000 residents have a lot of mail. People really love their online shopping. And so our mail office assistants are critical to helping us kind of process through and disseminate that mail as quickly as possible throughout the various communities. And those applications are also open all year round. And then our housing ambassadors. And so if you've been following along, you may have seen some housing ambassadors kind of assist in these virtual tours as well as these series. Our housing ambassadors serve as a representative of housing to our new students and families through various things such as tours. And so they do give tours of the community. They kind of are there on the front of our main housing administration buildings, as well as some of our other communities, to be a representative by answering the phones and kind of like talking about the UCF experience. And those applications are also open as needed. So you'll see those when we do have a need for housing ambassadors. And again, all those applications are open when they are on ucf.ereslife.com. So that's the end of my presentation about leadership and employment opportunities. And I would love to take any questions you may have at this time. So I'll turn it back to Hayden to tell me some questions.
All right, great job, Kayla. Thank you so much for all that good information. Let me just bring everyone else back up onto our screen here. All right. So as Kayla mentioned, we are going to address some questions now. So if you could just drop your questions in the comments, and we will be going over those. And thank you to everyone who said where they are viewing from today. So we have people from all over the place. We have Miami, Chicago, Palm Coast, Boca, Kissimmee, Weston. I see someone from Delaware. So thank you all for tuning in. And if you do follow us on social media, you may have seen that we sent out a call for any questions. So we are going to go ahead and address some of those questions real quick. So Adore asks, when can you become an RA, and what are the benefits of becoming an RA? I know you touched a little bit on that already, Kayla.
Sure. So I'll start a little bit, and then I'll turn it over to my awesome RAs to explain the benefits. So you can apply to be an RA as long as you meet the eligibility criteria. So our website kind of outlines the criteria to be an RA. The biggest one is that you need to have completed 24 credits by the time that you will start your job. And so and to make that kind of make sense, if you were to apply in this next application cycle, so between July and October, you would be eligible to start in January 2021. So if you have 24 completed credits at the end of fall 2020, then you're eligible to start in January 2021. And if you are just starting, but you apply between July and October, and this is your first year, then you would be eligible to start working for summer. That's our next employment, our summer contracts, which I didn't mention, excuse me. RA contracts are summer to summer, so they're May to May. And so if you apply in July to October for a May position, then by May of 2021, wow, it feels like that's really far away, but it's not, right? It's next year. If you apply for May 2021, you'll have to have completed 24 credits by the end of spring 2020, and at least 12 of those 24 credits have to be from either UCF or Valencia. So again, to wrap that up, you need to have 24 credits by the time you intend to start employment. Because our contracts are May to May, we don't really necessarily have an August start date because we're open all year round. And so if you want to apply during this cycle, you would need to be sure that by May of 2021, you'll have 24 completed credits. And I'll turn it over to my current RAs, Darwin's and Jasmine's, to talk more about the benefits of being an RA.
Thank you. So I would say the RA position is definitely a position where you kind of define how you want it to define you. I think the biggest positive aspect of it is the soft skills you develop. So I know like a lot of you first come to college, you're thinking about all like, how can I pad my resume? But really when you're starting to apply for jobs, internships, they're going to ask you questions about, like leadership or critical thinking and conflict management. And RA kind of gives you all those. They give you the experiences you can talk about. Because, when you go on an interview, you can talk about that high school experience, but when you have a chance to talk about how maybe you helped to mediate a roommate conflict, or you talk about times in which, you had to respond to an incident and work with your supervisor, those are those high level answers of which are going to set you apart from your peers. So it's that. And also I think the biggest takeaway too, is that you get to connect with a lot of people. I've met so many people on campus, been able to impact a lot of different people. And so I think it really is kind of whatever skills you're looking for, you can find it within our position.
So I know that Kayla mentioned that you do have to learn some teamwork skills in this position. So I would say for me, one of my favorite benefits is working on a team. So like Kayla mentioned, you could be working on a staff of 8 other individuals or up to as many as 34. So for me, the relationships that I've built with my staff over this past year and just like responding to different things with them has been one of my favorite aspects.
Thank you, guys. So Angela asks, where do I apply for these jobs?
Awesome. So to apply for our jobs, you visit that ucf.ereslife, again, res with a Z, ucf.ereslife.com. And then if you're looking to apply for area council, you can look at their website, rhaucf.com. So there you go.
Thank you. And kind of to play right into that question, Erica asked, how do we find employment openings? So same with that.
Yeah, so employment openings for the Department of Housing and Residence Life, we'll post those on eResLife. And so you can keep checking back to see when they're open. I kind of mentioned generally when they open. So our applications are, July to October. And then I mentioned the various other dates. Some are open all year round and some are open, like conferences doesn't open until January, December or January. You can check that out. If you're looking for employment opportunities in general at the university, I'll definitely plug Handshake, which is through our career services. And I know Nikki said she got an internship through Handshake, so I'll let her maybe talk briefly about Handshake.
Yeah, I got the Feeding Nights Everywhere program that we put on, that meal packing thing. I ended up finding my internship for that company through Handshake. It's a really good opportunity for any leadership opportunities in terms of like internships for careers you want to go into, but also jobs around on campus, around campus, and in the Orlando area. For specifically, if you have a major that you're going into and that you have to start soon in terms of those internships and getting that network and those opportunities, Handshake is really good for that. It lets you search specifically per category by major and it's specifically run through UCF. So there's a lot of really good opportunities. And so they're specifically looking for first-year students and college students on Handshake. So I would definitely recommend going through that when you get a chance.
Perfect, thank you. So Jacqueline asks, does Lake Claire have social events so we can meet others who live in the building?
Yeah, absolutely. So Lake Claire has an area council, just like all the communities. And so the area councils are the ones who plan those social programmings. And so if you're already excited, you're living in Lake Claire and you want to get together and form some social connections, then apply to be on your community's area council, because then you get to kind of bring the ideas. If you're like, hey, I think we should go to the lake right here by Lake Claire and have a volleyball tournament or have a cookout or something like that. You can bring those ideas, and it's okay. You don't have to have ideas to join area council. You can join area council because you just want to join, you want to meet other people, and then you'll learn about other ideas from there. And does anyone want to comment on area council, maybe their favorite program they've ever attended?
Yeah, for sure. So Area Council, Lake Claire actually won Area Council of the Year this year. They did really well. They really competed for that big spirit prize that we always give at the end. They put on so many different programs. They hosted a lot of virtual events when we went online due to COVID. And they also hosted various movie nights and what we call passive programming. So I know twice a semester they went outside with donuts and coffee, and they just passed those out to people going to class. They also had a really good initiative going on where you would come into the office and every day there was something different. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, there was like little wellness tips, but on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, there was snacks for you to take in the office. So those are kind of the events that area councils do. So whether you want to help put those events on or whether you want to attend them, we do encourage you to get out and get involved in your community.
And what I'm hearing is Lake Claire is the reigning champ. So if you who submitted that question want to keep that title up, that's your chance. Join area council. If you want to defend the title for another community, join area council.
All right, I'm going to add Haley, one of our graduate assistants here, in as a special guest as well. So hello, Haley, welcome. All right, so next question we have from Facebook is from Richard. Is Towers part of RHA?
Yeah, I'll let Nikki kind of talk on that one.
Yeah, so Towers is a part of RHA. Fun fact for the awards this year, they actually won Program of the Year for something they call Towers of Terror. So on Halloween, RHA does a Halloween week, and every area council gets to put on those events. And they did a different event in every one of the 4 towers that we have. And if you attended all 4, you got entered into a raffle, and they actually gave away really cool prizes like AirPods. So Towers is a really big part of our RHA community. We actually service all 11 on-campus and affiliated communities, including Night Circle, Northview, and Union West. So it's all academic villages, Apollo, Libra, Nike, Neptune, Lake Claire, all 11 of our campuses of our affiliated and on-campus communities are a part of RHA. So there's 11 of them.
Perfect, thank you. So question from Angie here. I believe this was during the RA section of the presentation, Kayla. So is there an age requirement or do they need to be an upperclassman to be an RA?
Sure, so great question. As long as you have the 24 credits completed by your start date, there's no age requirement and there's no other requirements about age or class standing or anything. As long as you have the appropriate GPA and you're in good conduct standing, then the 24 credits is really the most important piece to being eligible.
Okay, thank you. Let me pull up another question here. I think that Shelly from Delaware is our the furthest person to be watching. So thank you for watching all the way from Delaware.
But look at that Epcot picture. I love that.
Disney fans. All right, so Kayla is asking if you do get paid if you work on campus in those jobs. Are they paid jobs, Kayla?
Yes. First of all, Kayla, great name. Yes, you get paid to work as an office assistant, a conference assistant, or a mail office assistant. And so once you apply for the jobs, we'll tell you based on that time kind of what the standard pay is. But those specific positions are hourly paid.
Thank you. And Kirsten is asking if you're allowed to apply for more than one housing option. I think that, I don't know if this is a job option or just for housing in general. So are you able to apply for more than one job in housing, Kayla?
Sure. We have a ton of students who apply for multiple jobs. And so Haley, I know she just joined Donna. Haley is my graduate assistant who works with staff selection, student leadership. And so Haley and myself and the committee review the applications, kind of the first stage of everyone. And so we see a ton of crossover, and that's fine. I would say if you're interested in the position, apply for it. If you will know what the position is and you're excited about it, then apply for it. You can only work within one of our jobs at a time here. And so that is one of our requirements, that you can only hold one job within housing. But you can apply, honestly, you could interview for 3 jobs. And then if you get all 3, then you get to decide which one you want. And so if you're interested in more than one, then definitely go ahead and apply. But I would say to make sure you know what the job is and you understand it before you apply for it.
Definitely agree with that. This is a great question here from Tammy. For those 24 hours that you were mentioning, Kayla, or 21, I think it was 21 hours that you need to be an RA, do AP credits count towards that hour count?
So as long as they are reflected in your overall GPA, and so we pull our data directly from what you bring into the university. And so I work with students on a case-by-case basis. And so if you are curious when you do start here, wondering if your AP credits, they translated to your cumulative credits, I can look those up for you individually. And so the end of this, we'll put my email address up there, but their email address for all things related to employment in the department is Res Life Selection. This time, Res with an S, so RESLIFE selection. Oh, there it is on the screen. Res Life Selection at ucf.edu. Myself and Haley manage that inbox. And so if you're curious when you do start and you are enrolled, if you're like, hey, can you check my credits to see if they're recorded accurately, then I can check on that individually for you to make sure that you've got everything you need before you start the application.
Perfect, thank you. So Reagan is asking for an office assistant. Would applying this summer mean that you wouldn't start until the spring semester, similar to the RA process?
Great question. So the RA process is the only one where we really do the application so far in advance because it's such a large volume of candidates to kind of process through and conduct interviews. For all of our other jobs, we try our best to do review of the applications and conduct interviews once per semester. And so we'll kind of go through, we may interview 10 to 15 based on the number of vacancies. So for offices in particular, if we have 15 vacancies we're expecting, then we maybe do 30 interviews, and then we may create an alternate pool from there. And so if we don't hire you because we don't have a position right then, but we're still considering you, we can consider you down the line. But if you apply at the end of a semester where we just review applications, we may not review your application until the next semester. Hopefully that makes sense.
Perfect, thank you. And a great question here from Jason that we can probably open up to our students here. What's the most valuable lesson you learned by the resident assistant? So you guys want to kind of answer that, or let all 3 have a chance to go?
Yeah, I'll let the students chime in about that one.
Yeah, so my resident assistant my first year actually got me involved in RHA. So that was the most valuable lesson, the most valuable thing I got from my RA. And she was a support for me through area council all year. It was actually amazing. It's how I got started. A lot of my opportunities now that I have are thanks to RHA and area council. So without my RA, I wouldn't have found out about that opportunity. I wouldn't have gotten involved, and I wouldn't be where I am today.
So similar to Nikki, my RA also got me involved. She encouraged me to do the Housing Leadership Institute, and this really sparked my leadership journey and gave me a smaller community within the larger UCF community.
And I think for me, the biggest lesson I learned is to find a mentor, because I kind of think of mentors as almost like a big brother or sister on campus. And so my RA, when I was a freshman, kind of showed me how to navigate college. And so to help me find a mentor and help me succeed academically and even professionally.
Great, thank you guys so much for sharing those experiences. So these are all of the questions that we have in the comments so far. We can give it another couple minutes if anyone else has any other questions about involvement or any of the organizations or employment, if you want to go ahead and submit those now. Otherwise, if there's anything else you guys want to talk about, we have one more question, sorry. I'll cut you guys off real quick. Here from Christy. Do RAs meet with their roommates regularly to see how things are.
Sure. When the RAs want to talk about that?
Yeah. You'll from time to time have a conversation with a lot of your residents and about their roommate situation. So like I know at the beginning you're gonna do like a rooming agreement where you kind of talk about how you all going to live and coexist together. But then throughout the semester, you'll check in, residents come knock on your door, you'll knock on their door, to kind of see how they're doing. So it's kind of really up to you, but you will have probably like twice a semester where like I'm expected to talk to them, but you can talk to them pretty much as you want.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. And let's see. All right. So any last things you guys would like to add? It looks like those are all of our comments that we have for now.
So I would like to ask the students, if you're able to, you're talking potentially right now to incoming students, what would be the one thing, and Haley and Nikki and Darwin and Jasmine, if each of you could maybe say, what is one thing that you would tell an incoming student about getting involved within housing or just getting involved in general?
I would say getting involved is the best and smartest decision you could make. I think that if you start off your first year or wherever you are, if you start off your year involved, it gives you a really good base for, having a group of people that you're able to rely on, having a good way to have someone like I guess it helps with mental health. It helps with, having a support in a community, but it also helps personally. So I think that what you can get out of it is definitely professional development skills and personal development skills, as well as networking. And it's just very, very important, I feel like, to get involved and get involved early. And so housing really does provide opportunities for people who maybe have never even been involved before or have extensive leadership experiences. It services a lot of people. And if, that maybe isn't your speed, there are other leadership opportunities on campus. So whether or not it's housing, I do encourage everyone to stay involved.
I think involvement for me has been like, my entire college career. I think while it does develop you personally, professionally, I think the biggest things for me, it kind of just helps you find yourself and really identify who you want to be as a person. I came to UCF and like, I didn't know anybody. I didn't really have much leadership skills per se. And I went on to, do RA. I ran for student body president. I ran for a homecoming king and all these opportunities. And so it really challenged you to do something different. It gives you friends everywhere. And so if you're really if you're kind of worried about making friends, you're like, I don't know who to talk to. And like the whole awkwardness of being a first year student, that's fine. Everybody feels that way. But once you get involved, you'll find yourself talking to literally everybody. You always have somebody to talk to. Especially if you get involved in housing. I've never had a moment where I was like, I have no friends. I feel like I have too many sometimes. So that's definitely a good opportunity. So get involved, hit the ground running, try something. And if you don't like it, you can always stop doing it. But it really kind of forces you to grow and try different things and grow as a person.
I can definitely agree with what Nikki and Darwin said about involvement. I would say for me, when I came to UCF, in all honesty, I was a little bit scared and intimidated. I think for a lot of people, like they were very involved in high school, but once you come to college, it is kind of difficult to navigate through that process. So for me, housing actually was the first involvement opportunity that I had. And I would say that it led me to other involvement opportunities.
And I think the biggest change that I think me and Kayla see is the change in maturity and problem-solving skills. Throughout the year, as we work through our students as advisors or as supervisors or helping hire people into all these different positions that Kayla talked about today, you will really see a change in how they cognitively think through different problems, different aspects, coming together as a team of different people who don't know each other, who are putting on a big event at the beginning of the year. It's really neat to watch, and you can see growth happening. You can see a lot of learning happening. And we hear from parents all the time, that they see a totally different kid when they come home being like, okay, well, like, I'm not going to fight with my brother. What we're going to do is talk about the situation, and we're going to, to the end of the problem. So I think I see the most is like growth and maturity and problem solving.
And I know it's a little stressful, especially if it's first year people coming in to start thinking about what you do when you graduate. But involvement is crucial for when you graduate. I recently got into graduate school, and I got into both programs I applied for off letters of recommendation I met through involvement and leadership. And I was also able to really get a good grasp, like Kaylee had said, through those problem solving skills. That translates really well in interview scenarios. So when someone asks you to describe a time where something was challenging to you, you have 15 automatic scenarios, because leadership is challenging and it pushes you to grow as a person, and that shows professionally in the long run.
And the last thing that I wanted to add is that just in case you're unsure or not really too knowledgeable about what involvement opportunities there are at UCF, always remember that your resident assistant is a great resource for helping you get involved on campus.
And if you're curious to learn more about them before you jump right in, I think we put in the Instagram handles for both RHA and NRHH. They post a lot about their programs and their initiatives and their meetings and things on there. And so there it is, right? So you can follow the organizations on there. So it's RHA UCF and NRHH _ UCF. And then you can kind of check out and follow along and see what things that they've done this past year.
All right. Well, thank you all so much, Kayla, Jasmine, Nikki, Darwin, Haley, for all of the great information and all of your personal experiences within housing and residence life. If we didn't get to your question, or maybe you want to submit a question to us privately, you can always email us at housing@ucf.edu. You can direct message us on social media. I will put all of our housing social media channels up at the end of this session. But I just want to thank you everyone again for attending our live stream session. Thank you to all of our presenters. We hope you all have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. Have a good one.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.